Joycee.
Hi, Lyra.
So, Joycee,
Hi, everyone.
okay, so this is going to be a very honest, open conversation that we're going to have with Joycee. So let's take you back to the beginning and start with the vision, right? So
Yeah.
when you started your business, did you always envision expanding beyond one location? Was it something that just happened naturally over time? Just kind of like talk us through that.
Thanks so much, and welcome, my fellow colleagues. To be honest, that wasn't the original plan when I started. Um, my plan was to scale our product range. Oriki actually started as a farm to skin, all natural, botanically based product range. The spa was the marketing strategy. That was the strategy to get people coming in the doors. And so I didn't. In fact, at the launch of the product showroom, which was like, walking into like a Sephora where you have like signage that says face, treatment, skin. That's how I built the first space. I told my boyfriend then, he became my fiance that evening. That was a surprise at the end of the night. But I told him that day, I said, this idea that's been coming now that we're going to have to get traffic in here and open the spa and turn like the upstairs into the spa. This will be my one and only and keep me accountable. Because I wasn't really interested in the spa business. I was interested in being a manufacturer of products, coming here and seeing a plethora of natural ingredients that were untapped just had me so excited. And I really wanted to create a brand that can compete like globally. So the truth is, when the spa was created, I created it with all the best I could, the best excellence I could in the space that we had. We could only do 3 rooms at first. When you're walking up the stairs, you could hear someone coming in while having a massage. To me, every day I was just like twitching because I was just like, this is not the perfect ideal if I was going to do a spa first. But I did it. And our doors were open and people just kept coming in. And I'm like, what's happening here? Right? I wanted people to come and have a facial, walk downstairs and choose that great smelling face wash that we used or the serum. And that was happening, but the spa was what was gaining attraction. And so the expansion of the spa happened organically. It was on demand. People started asking, like, why don't you consider having one in Lekki? So the truth is, it was the market that pushed me towards thinking about, okay, well, maybe we can consider having them in other locations, and I'll continue to sell my products through this sales channel. But it wasn't that I wrote out in my initial business plan that we were going to scale to now 13 locations and across 3 countries and 6 cities. It wasn't the plan, and so I followed demand and followed the voice of my client.
Okay, so kind of piggybacking off of that. So you started off with 1, then you got 2. Going from 2 to 5 to 13 is not a cakewalk, right? So how did you then say, okay, well, I'm listening to the customers, they want another one, here we go, and then another one. How was that? Not only, like, I guess mentally for you, right? Like, how did you know, yes, we're going to do 3, we're going to do 4, 7, 13, eventually 20?
Yeah, no, it's eventually 500 in the next 5 years by special grace of God. Truthfully, it was an opportunity of collaboration and partnership. The power of collaboration and partnership, I cannot even de-emphasize it, if that even makes sense. When we moved into number 2, how many of us know Beauty Atelier? Okay, we opened up a spot in one of her spaces as well. Partnership, collaboration. I mean, I'll call that more of a collaboration. And we took a space there, and that was our Lekki space for the first until we began to scale within Lekki. Then number 3 was Oriental Hotel. And when that happened, it was the matter of, positioning. So when we got Oriental, they had been looking for a spa provider for years. I mean, I don't know how you're looking for a spa provider, and there's so many spas, right? And they couldn't find someone that connect with, this is their words, on a standard level and on a level of excellence. And so when we connected with them, it opened up our mind to another opportunity. Many hotels don't have spas. And when we opened an Oriental, it's not a signal in the industry. And other hotels were essentially like, oh wow, would you be interested in coming into our space? And so from 3 to like 7, 8 hotels literally coming and saying, we had all varying type of hotels who never thought about having a spa, who now are like, oh my goodness, that's what I'm missing. And Oriki has done this in an Oriental. We had hotels who planned for a spa but were literally sitting because they did not have a spa operator. We had hotels who were building and wanted us to come in and choose our space and fit out everything. And so that was a scale there, was a very valuable model. So partnership collaboration, a way to scale, through an infrastructure that's already been created by another business. And then also we just continued to push through that way, through partnerships and collaborations. The next one for us was iFitness. Once we did iFitness, we realized, boom, we have an opportunity. We're going to roll out in the next 10 iFitnesses with them. But again, it was collaboration.
All right. So, as you were expanding, what was this is probably like a hindsight, type of question, but like expanding, what were some things that you had to put in place, or what would you do better now than then? And yeah.
I like that question because I'm such a stickler and an advocate for systems and structure. Every single one of us in this room can get a hot opportunity tomorrow. But the question is, are you ready? Like, is your business truly ready? There's bad scale and there's good scale. There's bad growth. You can grow too fast and you can fall flat on your face. So what did I do from day one? Truthfully, I like to be very transparent. I've always been focused on systems and structures. So opening Oriki #1 in terms of the spa happened before I got married. I was expecting, this is women in the room, so I was expecting immediately. I knew that I had 6 months before I was going to travel for a while. And there's no way I'm going to close the business and say, okay, guys, I'm not around, so I'm so sorry, the spa can't run. I had to empower my team. So from then we started on creating standard operating procedures, systemizing the business. What were the things that I could see from where I was that I could have input into without physically being there? So my CRM system, right? My PO, how customers made bookings. I used to purchase from the States these huge, some of you might still be using it. They're like appointment books, and they have time blocks, and they have columns, and they schedule. Switched it completely. Found a proper CRM system scheduling system that could take me so I could be wherever I am in the world and check in and see who is booked for today. If someone goes off my schedule, I can ask my team, why are they off? Took us our communication completely on Slack. I don't care if you have a small phone as a staff. If you're a part of my customer service team, you will be on Slack. So we need to sort that out. If we're giving you a loan program for a phone, but you're going to get a phone that can talk on Slack, because you're not going to hold back my ability to systemize this company. Then I was, of course, like many CEOs starting or founders, running around doing so many different things. I had to start documenting what I was responsible for. So my first employee, who's 10 years with the company, she was an admin then, right? She literally was the one that was like my right hand. But I started working with her to document everything I was doing. So in the beginning, I didn't have a finance person the first 3 months. I hired that afterwards because it was very hard to keep track of product and spa revenue. But before then, what was I doing? Daily checking the inflow, what was coming in. All these things were manual, but I took them. So what did I do? I systemized my business. Anyone here who is wanting to scale and not thinking about systems, not thinking about CRM, accounting, inventory, and even a system that coordinates everything, it's a joke, to be honest, because you will fail. You're setting yourself up for failure. And number 2, what would I have done differently? I would have honestly not been so scared to hire, to pay more for better talent. It saves you so much. Right now, of course, and then it's a balance of how much you're earning versus how much you can afford for an employee. But the truth is, if you looked at what you need right now, and let's say it's a finance person, let's say it's a marketing sales, decided that I'm going to invest in that role and get someone who knows it, trust me, they're going to yield. They're going to yield, it's ROI. You're going to yield on spending that money for that employee. and you'll be able to sleep better and have someone who's knowledgeable. So that's what I would have done differently. And what I did do is systemize and structure.
Speaking of, about systems and structure, obviously when you're building systems, you typically would have to let go of some Legos. So when you had to start letting go and delegating, what was that process like? What is that process like now? I personally struggle with it at Splice, but obviously like, I know that for you to scale, you have to delegate. So what's worked for you? What is working for you? Yeah.
Okay. So let me not, let me just be truthful. That's one of the hardest things to do is to let go, especially as a founder that's involved in every little thing. And then you also focus on excellence. And then maybe you have a trust issue as well. You don't trust people to do it the way you would do it. I love this question because what I did was I threw my team members in the deep end before I needed them to be autonomous. So what happens is like right now, you're leaving this Splice Masterclass. You're going to hear from a number of people. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm still present. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm showing up every day. I'm still handling marketing or ops or whatever it is you're handling. But I'm going to raise someone up and start giving them the same thing that I'm working on concurrently. So what I would do with Loveth was I was like create an SOP for this position, right? Our first ever accountant was a lovely lady named Anu Young, amazing. Loveth created the SOP for what Anu needs to do by watching what I did daily. So the daily revenue tracking, checking the books, all those things, and you force them to step up before you even need them to stand alone. And what that happens is during that process, you're like, okay, hang on. You just wrote that email the exact way I would write it, maybe even better. You just did that document the right way. And then your job is to give feedback. One of the biggest things I see is founders get so excited. Okay, I'm going to create SOPs, I'm going to create systems, and then they just sit there. The reason being they don't put them into enforcement and implementation. So when your team starts to work on the documents, create on your to-do list that, okay, by Friday, I'm going to get back. I'm going to have a look at these documents and get back to them. It's very tough. But what is causing the toughness is likely the lack of trust. And you only build trust when you watch someone doing it, when you see them showing up and delivering. And so it's very important that you set them up for success. And let me just say one thing, like I meet a lot of people. I don't believe anyone in the room is like this. Who you're almost like waiting for your team to fail. It's almost like I knew you wouldn't do it, or you can't do it, or I shouldn't have given you that. As opposed to giving yourself that stress, as a founder, it's important to set them up for success. So even down to templates, creating templates. And now I didn't have Chat GPT back then. Now we have Chat GPT, but like, you could say, all right, I need a weekly tracker done of the number of leads and conversions that are coming in through our Instagram DM channel. And here's the template for it. Literally. So that they don't have any excuse. When you have a bit more time, I'd like you to create this template that covers this, this, and that. I'd like to see it by Wednesday, close of business, and I'd give you feedback on it. Sometimes they would provide something, they'd add something that maybe you haven't even thought about. But always have the approach of setting them up for success, and then it just makes your life a lot easier.
And this is me actually asking. So how do you so what you're saying makes sense, right? But then in the thick of things, you are juggling 1,001 things. You're context switching all the time. You don't have time, basically, right? And so how do you balance, okay, this person is new on the job, or like they don't know the entirety of the scope well, versus, okay, I need to give them time to grow into this role, and, oh, this is, forgive me, bullshit. Or so like how do you juggle that? How do you exercise a lot of patience, right? Because I think everyone here has hired somebody who, okay, yeah, you're great. I'm going to, throw you into the deep end. You're going to figure it out. I hope you figure it out too, but I want you to actually figure it out. I don't want to have to handhold you all the time.
Yeah, so let me reel it back because the throwing in the deep end, right, is like giving them tasks to do before you need them to like stand alone solely without your input. Not that they'll be hired and then you just say go figure this role out. So my response to that is honestly is to set expectations. So we tell people that you have 1 month to get acclimatized with the company, understand, but you have 3 months of probation to then be a confirmed employee. So when you set that expectation, what's happening is that they're saying, and within 1 month, I have to do all I can to understand all the moving parts. I have to ask questions. And if you find that the person is extremely quiet and not even asking you questions, checking in, you could just decide, let's just do like a weekly check-in, like a good 15-minute, 20-minute check-in. How are you feeling? How's it going? Were you able to handle, do you understand that task or not? But then 3 months, they know that, how many of us give like probationary periods? Yeah, like 3 months probationary period, but 1 month get acclimatized. Like understand this company and let me know. Put the onus on them to come back to you and let you know if there's anything that they're struggling with, right? Or they don't understand. I know it's tough.
No, no, thank you. All right. So, obviously, like running multiple locations requires a lot of structure, and you've spoken about that a bit. But I want to learn from you, like, what were some of the learning curves that you went through, right? What mistakes did you make when trying to like set up the right structure, and just like trying to carry that over, as you are scaling and adding new locations. Yeah.
So good. One of the learning curves is there's this statement that people say, hire for attitude and character, and then train them for skill, right? I don't 100% believe in it, right? I don't 100% believe in it. I believe in hiring for alignment with your company. I believe in alignment. So you can decide, listen, as a founder, I'm too focused on operations. I can't even catch my breath to do strategy and expansion. So I'm going to hire a very top-notch operations manager. And you know, in your company, you've created an environment of warmth and friendliness, and there's a way people need to smile and speak to your customers and all these things. And then you hire someone who's technically sound at ops, but very cold and rigid and doesn't have like personality. That's not a fit. You know what I mean? It's not a fit for your company. So we started doing things like personality test alongside our recruitment. Personality test just gives us an idea of who you are. We've not met you. We've not engaged with you. Haven't worked with you, but we have your ESFP. We know your Myers-Briggs. We do another one as well. We have an idea of your temperament from this personality test. Just gives us an idea and prepares us for third round, third stage interviews where we can throw some questions and actually get your responses based on and whatnot. Also, learning curve. Look for technology as quickly as possible. Anything you're doing manually right now, find a technology solution for it. We are so big on data as a company. That's how we've expanded into the specific countries we've gone into. Data driven. I can tell you right now what my cost per lead is on social media ads. I can tell you how much my CAC, my customer acquisition cost is. I can tell you the percentage of my company that comes through referrals and comes through, like, data is so big. If you're not using Google Analytics or, different types of analytics to really show you a viewpoint of your company and what's happening in the back end, or if you're not using systems that tell you time to response, how quickly people are responding, or if you're not using financial systems that you can really track and see, is your business seasonal at all? Are there peaks in your revenue? Are there times? Then you're doing yourself an injustice. And I didn't really get heavy on tech until about right after COVID. So I would have done that a lot sooner. COVID is when we actually, started ramping up on technology. But hey, we're here now, but I would have done that a lot sooner.
So you kind of already started answering my next question on technology. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, tech is great. For a lot of Nigerian SMEs, there's a big concern around cost. So before you can start to afford the larger, more expensive tech tools. What are tools that are, you know,
Or even help me now. Okay, because we've done a huge drive as well where one of the KPIs, key performance indicators for our head of finance and his team was to find one major cost saving initiative per quarter. And in Q1 of 2024, that major cost saving initiative was moving us from G Suite, Google, to Zoho. So giving you examples of changing because of pricing. So we were spending $2,700 a month. Just multiply that by 1,550, I think that's today's rate, for emails in Google Drive for about 90 something emails. Company size is 209, but 90 something need emails. We switched to Zoho and the bill is $5 million a year. Just do the math. I think that's 1 month worth or 1.5 months worth. So one of the things is there's steps to this. Don't do that, right? Of course, G Suite was so comfortable and familiar and all, but the prices have gone up and things are crazy. But to Lyo's question of always do comparisons side by side when you're looking at new option, like looking at, options. So cheaper options. I mean, I can't. Splice. Not even trying to be funny, but people were looking at, there was a time I was on Fresha. It was cheaper. It was cheap. It was free. It was free. But it didn't have everything I wanted at the time. So when you compare, you have to compare true apples to apples. The truth is, technology can get expensive. Another thing I would let you guys know is that Zoho Sheets or Zoho Drive or Google Sheets is also technology, right? So having your trackers there, using a Zapier automation so that you can connect these things together. Zapier didn't charge, those things. Slack, lifesaver for me. I live on there. That's free unless you want to opt in. And then when you find a tool, just always check what else the competitors out there and what else they're offering. And lately, there's a boom of Nigerian companies or African companies creating the same solutions that others have created abroad. And you pay in Naira. Nothing beats paying in the currency that you earn in, which is the biggest issue for me with all the expenses we were paying abroad. So now we're at a place where everything we pay in dollar, we're minimizing it, right? We want to find replacements. The next thing on their list is our scheduling platform for our staff. Does Splice do that? Do you have scheduling?
yes?
For staff? Okay, let's talk after. Sorry, I don't put you on the spot. But why I'm asking that is because there's platforms that we use that we have not even gone through all the offerings they have. You have a tech solution and they have so much in the back end. And then you're paying for another one and you don't realize that this one also has it. Or if you check their reports, they can give you inventory reports and you can plug in inventory. So that was why I was asking that question. But the point is, first of all, look for a Naira. Look for a Nigerian company that's doing it, like your HR solutions and all that. There's plenty Nigerian companies doing that. Or an African company. And then after that, really compare, competitors and see what they're offering for you and decide what you really need. But when you don't have to pay in foreign currency, please don't.
Preach.
Don't.
Okay, all right. So the next question then is kind of piggybacking off of, trying to minimize cost, ensuring that you're being cost efficient and, your revs are in Naira. So have your expenses be in Naira as well. How did you or do you think about pricing? Because that's a very tricky thing for people. Or businesses rather, right? So how did you navigate the pricing consistency? How have you been able to, price your services or price the products at Oriki to be competitive enough, but still, affordable, right? And still doesn't chip in your brand and all of that, yeah.
That's such a great question. How many of us in the room are product, beauty, business owners? Products? Or just one? How many are services too? How many are services? Everybody else then. Oh, wow. Okay. Fantastic. So, a lot of people pull prices from the air. I'm just going to charge because my competitor charges 35,000 naira for this 60-minute service. I'm going to charge 32. There has to be a methodology pricing. It first of all starts with what's your cost? Then, what is the margin you would want to add? There is a standard typically in our industry of percentages, of margin percentages on services and on products. If you have a product-based brand, and you're thinking of doing distributorship or retailing the product at any given point, you need to have enough margin in there because they're going to take a nice 20%, a nice 25% of whatever your selling price is. If you're a service-based brand, you have to think about what niche you're in. Right? So are you trying to come across as affordable, luxury? Are you trying to come across, thank you, as accessible and mass market friendly? Are you trying to come across as really, really premium, right? I've had people tell us, like H&Is tell us that, I saw you guys service pricing and your deep tissue was so cheap. I was like, I can't go there. Do you understand? That's fine for me because my target market is not H&Is. That's not my target market at Oriki. We are an accessible brand. That is why we successfully signed the top 5 HMOs. And anybody can come to Oriki Spa for a service. You don't have to pay out of your own pocket. Your health insurance provider can pay for you. If I was, now as a brand owner, I can decide to do segmentation and do a particular service or spa that is focused on a niche. But my day-to-day is not H&Is. That's not my target market. It is the wellness conscious, a little bit of disposable income, working class individual, man or woman who wants some relaxation relief. So you can't be saying that and then I'll be charged 60,000 naira for a 60-minute massage, right? And for my products as well, what we did was we took the base cost. Here's the base cost. This is how much it costs for a vitamin C serum from the manufacturer. I am also the founder of the manufacturer, right? But that's a whole different thing. They're two different companies. So here's the base cost from the manufacturer. We pay my other company to produce, right? So here's the base cost. And then we know that our strategy for this range is we're also, not only do we sell direct to the customer, D2C, we also sell B2B. We also give this platform to retailers, distributors, and resellers, this product, to sell. So the margin we applied is 50% or more. Do you understand? You have to decide the margin you want to apply, knowing where you're going to be selling this product. Is this making sense? So you can't just pick. Then that's it, right? So when we land at that price, we now say, okay, fine. Who are my competitors for this vitamin C serum? And when I do a competitive scan and say that, okay, this brand is selling theirs at this, wow, we're fitting our ethos. Accessible beauty. We are still priced very well. We're not overpriced from our competitors. This competitor is really focused on premium or a certain niche, and we are still better priced than they are, for example. So it's speaking to who our target market is. Then, of course, when the going gets rough, and when Nigeria economically wants to throw all types of things at you and your prices increase, you have to go back to the drawing. You cannot work for free, right? You have to go back to the drawing board and then apply a percentage to increase your cost when that time comes, when you're hard pressed. And it should also make sense. Okay, so inflation is 15%. You're not going to now increase all your prices by 50. I mean, it doesn't really match unless you're trying to tell some of your customers that we don't need you anymore. You want to make sure it's fair. So I hope that really helps. But it's basically what my mind is looking at is a spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet. That's how you do it. Like you start off with the cost price, you add the margin. Beauty sector margins for products are usually between 30 and 50%. You add that and services, as well. Now for service brands, sorry, 1 second, Lyle. Service brands, please make sure you have done the costing of every input of that service. It's so important. See, that hairstylist, that braider, who's working 6 hours to braid one person's hair, you have to take her salary, right? And figure out by taking her lump salary how many hours she works in a month and find out her per hour unit cost. That unit cost has to be thrown into her service. So if there's a hair wash and conditioning service that's 1 hour, then 1 hour, one line item on that spreadsheet should be the cost of that personnel doing the service. Another thing would be the ingredients going in, the conditioner and all. You have to get to that point where you're basically breaking down the unit cost so you can know the true cost. Services is easier to make more profit, right? Oftentimes, depending in our range, because labor is cheap. Not everywhere in the world, because here labor is cheap. But then people forget, like, okay, the inputs. Okay, that oil you're mixing, that conditioner you're mixing, they all come with the cost. So I can tell you that a massage is way more profit to us than a facial is. Because in the facial, there's 6 different products being used. But in the massage, we have 3 major inputs: massage oil, the personnel, and the cost of the room and the rent.
I love that. I really love that. And I think my big takeaway, apart from unit costs, I mean, my investors always yell at me about that, but also is segmenting, right? Don't be afraid to be niche. Don't be afraid to only, decide to service one segment. You're not Jesus. You can't save everybody. So it's okay to be niche, right? And I think that a lot of times, because of the kind of environment that we're in, it's very appealing to be very mass market or to be super niche, where you then like, everyone says luxury these days, but is it really luxury? You're just slapping the word on it and then charging like a premium price. Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we've heard about the expansion, the vision, pricing. Let's talk a bit more about like how you've built your team. And you said something here that you also said on Friday when we were at that event, where you said you hire for alignment.
Yeah.
Can you like just break that down a bit more? Like what does alignment look like or feel like, right? So obviously, talent is great, but then how do you actually key into that, or key into like hiring for alignment such that you have a great team of people who are keyed into your vision, who are just keyed in and like they're doing their work, they're growing, they're satisfied, obviously. But like, how have you built such a great team that is expanding and you're able to retain people?
Yeah. Okay, that's 2 questions, and that's really good. Number 1 is, how many of us have come to a recruitment, right? Or we have decided we need a sales manager, we need a customer service rep, and we've thought about their character, their personality, how you want to feel when you speak to them. How many of you have actually done that? Few. Most of the time, we're thinking about how we just need this role filled, and hopefully they have had experience doing this before, and they've been a customer service rep, and oh wow, I've seen they've worked at these 3 companies, they must be able to do the job. There are things, when I talk about alignment, it's doing the work of actually sitting down and noting down what you need in the personnel you're hiring, right? So if, again, using the same example, if someone is quite cold and they're meant to be sales, if they just seem to be irritable, they didn't come smiling to the interview, these are things to really note down. It's real, right? So hiring our HR, we had to have someone who can handle the fact that they're HR for people who are senior management and also people who are blue collar, don't have degrees, but very highly skilled at what they do, and they need to be able to communicate with them and speak to them. So I was looking for characteristics in our HR, like warmth, patience, and I would throw questions to ask about this. And when you come prepared to think about their soft skills, you actually ask different types of questions than when you just focus on the technical side and the experience. How would you handle a situation when, right? How would you handle, and you get to know how they would think through. I'm telling you, when you hear how people think, you'll either run or you'll want to embrace them and hire them right away. So I do that, and that's made a big difference in the dynamics and the atmosphere of the team. So that's number one. Number two, to retain them. I'm sure we all know that it's much cheaper to retain your staff than to have to be looking for others. It also makes your life a lot easier. So I have a focus on employee benefits. And many people will say, oh, but when do you start giving employee benefits? And isn't it going to be a cost to the company? I'm telling you, it is a massive benefit. I said it on Friday at my other speaking engagement, you cut your cloth according to your size. You do not have to do everything at once, but you start with something. All of the mothers in my company that work on the operations team, they get an extra day off. All mothers. Trust me, it's about your schedule. Create your roster. You'll sort it out, right? It'll work out. As long as you're scheduling and thinking this, it makes to them, they're like, oh my gosh. The typical, I work 6 days in our industry. People work 6 days a week. And you're giving someone another day. They are literally like, you just changed my life. And all that meant for you is creating a schedule that you're able to fill in the gaps. And maybe you'd have to hire 2 extra people because of that extra day. But trust, you'll focus on the marketing and the sales, and you'll do what, it'll be fine, right? So that's one thing, that we did. Everybody in the company has health insurance. I'm a wellness company. I need to practice what I preach. But at the end of the day, ladies, you'll be surprised that there's some health insurance plans that will not break your bank. 2 weeks ago, my driver came and was in tears. MD, he had to take 3 days off. His son was sick, and he says to me, I just want to thank you so much. I didn't want to take my son to the hospital. On day 1, I wanted to take him out because I was asking them for the bill, and they told me there's no bill because he's with insurance. And he didn't even realize the power of what he had. Like, it was all going to be covered. These little things, they don't get it elsewhere, everywhere. So what you need to be thinking about with benefits is how you can differentiate yourself as well. We've had people who get offers in other companies to leave, but because of just the benefits. Another thing is, let me just give you a tip. There are companies out there who are driving the efforts. Everybody should write down YALO, YALO. They're driving the future of benefits in terms of housing. Do you know right now you can have employees who need to move, need to pay rent? YALO will pay the rent and take it out of the salary that's being paid monthly. YALO will do company accommodation, and you pay later. When you announce that perk, everybody will just be celebrating. One last thing is celebrate your team. Like, that is the simplest thing that goes so far. When you have your monthly meetings or quarterly meetings, celebrate people, celebrate performance. When you have International Women's Day, do some gesture. Usually we buy everyone lunch, and then this year we bought them little tote bags. I mean, it was like going viral within the company. People were taking pictures with their tote bags. I have an Oriki bag. It's just the smallest things, but celebrate them and let them know they feel appreciated and that you care about them, and it goes a very long way.
Thank you. I have a few more questions, but I want to throw it out to the audience now. Are there any questions anyone has for Joycee about anything? Okay.
Okay. Hi. Hello. Hi, Joycee. Thank you so much. I mean, it's been insightful thus far. Okay, so my question is, I'm an hairstylist, right? And I am just growing my salon, right? And I have just one staff right now. And for what you've been saying thus far, I mean, team retainers, retention, and all of that. And it's not like, I mean, it's booming right now, right? I literally have to there are losses because a lot of clients are not coming in. So how do you, I'm not looking to, I mean, hire another person, but how do you make sure that that one person is able to keep pumping in the money that you want, right? As much as the skills very good and you are there as well, that you don't have to start getting a manager, this, because I mean, it's still big business by God's grace. It's still a big business, but how do you like, yeah, a growing business, but how do you like manage that and keep moving from step to step? Do you understand me?
No, I want to make sure I understand the question really well. Because you said something that was like a bit of, you said you don't want to have to get a manager and stuff. Don't you want to have to get to that point?
Yeah, I want to, but I'm just like, okay, as much as I want to think big, right? But I'm like, okay, let me just keep milking this first before I'm like, oh, okay, I want to like start getting lots of staffs and all of that. Do you guys understand me?
Not 100%. I think I understood you in the beginning, right? You only have one staff, so you don't necessarily know how to reward her.
I have one staff, right? But I don't want to get another staff yet. Yes,
But hold
yet,
on.
because I want to keep like moving the business
With her.
Yes.
You want to see how much revenue and how much you can earn with just her.
with her. Yes.
Why not switch? Yeah. Yeah. Why not just switch that narrative and focus on getting more customers so you can't exist with just her?
Just looking for the money.
Yeah. How are you looking for the money? Okay, how do you currently market your business?
So I have social media page,
Yeah.
right? And
Do you run ads?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Wait, do you run ads like
Yes,
consistently?
I do.
Okay.
Not consistently,
Okay.
though, but I do. So, but I'm not still getting like the much customers that I want.
So the staff you need to be thinking about getting is like a growth and marketing ad, like personnel. You don't have to necessarily get another stylist right now. Your business will tell you when you need another stylist because you won't be able to get with the schedule. But you need to get a growth and marketing admin, and that person doesn't have to be full time. It could be an outsourced person who's basically, you said, yes, I run ads, like who's basically looking at that data, focused on daily leads, daily conversions, sales. You tell that person, my goal is I want 6 million naira this month in hair styling. And so they've broken down, what does that 6 million naira look like? We need to get this amount of bookings. How are we going to get that bookings? What's your name?
Oikasola.
Oyekansola. You're going to need to get 1 UGC, 2 UGCs. We're going to have to run an ad on this. I think you should be focusing on that as opposed to saying, how am I going to milk it with this person? Let's get your place booked and busy. Booked and busier.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
then
so
to add to that,
Yeah.
also like one of the fastest ways that you can get more clients is to use your existing clients. Referrals.
Yeah. Do a referral
Right.
program.
So like if Joycee says, hey Lai, I'll go to this lash place, it was bomb. I will go there because I trust her. She's done her lashes there. Right. So and that's UGC, right? So like get your clients to make content for you. When they come into the salon, record them, ask them if you can post them. Ask them to tell their friends to come. Give them 20% off. Right? And it might seem like, oh, you're giving 20% off, but then you're going to get money that you wouldn't have gotten before anyway. Right? So, yeah.
All right,
Hope I
next
helped a little
question.
Any other
Okay.
question?
Hello, Joycee. Hello, everyone. Okay, my name is Nena. Okay, I'm a makeup artist, and I also do fragrances. So my question is, how do you deal with negative feedbacks? Like, no matter how good you are, you would have one negative feedback. The truth is I have thousands of positive feedbacks. I have at least one of my customers here, and she knows that I sell good products. But when somebody says, this thing I got, how do you deal with negative feedbacks? That's one of my questions.
You face it. You face it. Like, how do you deal with it, right? You face it. I got the impression that you're insinuating that you don't feel like their feedback was just, like, or do you feel like it was just? Okay, it's their opinion, right? And people can even decide tomorrow to do an entire, like, I'm going to write 10 negative reviews on, there are people like that. I don't know if you haven't faced it as a brand, you're blessed. But there's people like that, right? You have to face it. Number one, don't run from the feedback. Respond. So was this feedback on Google review? No. It was just to you? It's even better. Oh, that's easy. You don't believe it. You don't believe it. You apologize to the person. You empathize with the person. Empathy is very, very important. Like, I'm so sorry you felt this way. I'm so sorry that you felt like we did not live up to your expectation. Like, especially when you don't feel it's just you. You curate your words very well. That you not necessarily take ownership, but you say that I'm so sorry you didn't. You feel like this did not live up to your expectations. As a brand, we're focused on excellence and complete customer satisfaction. We've dropped the ball in that regard, and for that, I'm sorry. Then determine if it's a product. Was it a product? Yeah.
Okay, for context, I know, okay, for fragrances, what appeals to me might not appeal to you. So, I have this particular fragrance. Okay, it's a Tom Ford fragrance, perfume oil. I have positive. In fact, I have an old man, like he's in his 80s. He got his friends in the gym to come and buy. That's the fragrance he uses. So he told them that he told his daughter, reach out to your supplier. All my friends want it. So I know it's a very good fragrance. Then somebody comes, I don't like this fragrance.
Non-entity.
So what
First of
I
all-
actually do for first timers, when you come to me, I'm like, what kind of fragrance do you like? Do you like floral? Do you like wood? So that I can recommend. And some will be like, I don't know. I want something good. And because I know I've gotten so many positive feedbacks on this particular fragrance, I recommend it to you. And you're like, I didn't like the fragrance, blah, 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 blah. How do I?
Okay, and she bought it already.
Yeah. What?
And she bought it, right?
She bought it and she's
Okay.
like, I didn't like it.
So sorry you didn't like it, even though it's one of our best sellers. I know fragrance can be subjective. We all have different things that fancy our noses. Would you like to consider something else? I'd be happy to apply a small discount because I know you purchased. First of all, you can't refund that money. This is a fragrance. I don't know how many fragrances I've bought. I literally bought them in the duty free of an airport. I've never used it because when I got home, I didn't like it. I don't know what happened the day. Even on the last trip I took, I had to ask them, like, how come there's fragrances I buy I like, and then the moment I get back and they're like, oh, there's environment, the way the fragrance sits on your skin, the way there's a term for it, it vaporizes or something through the day. I mean, then these are like expensive fragrances. So fragrance is subjective, and you will maybe she just wants to be able to get another one for free, but sorry, you can't do that. But what you can do is, at best, apply a small discount. You're lucky she didn't go to like Google review or something. But how I was originally going to answer is that for Google reviews, make sure you are actively responding to the good ones and the bad ones, all of them. You know, actively check in on them. Make sure you have My Business on your phone or whatnot, or device, and you just respond and thank everyone who's written. If it's negative, let them know who you are as a brand and how this is not, who you are, but you really appreciate the feedback and you apologize. And next one.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take two more questions. Okay, let's from the other end of the room. Three. Okay, I will take one from this side of the room. Hello. It's nice.
Hi, Joycee.
Hi.
Just going to ask, you've spoken about how many different branches you have, and I was going to ask about franchising. Are you franchised or are you actually just, because I was going to ask if you had any.
These are all our own except for one. We did
so
one
I was
franchise.
going to ask if you have any nuggets on franchising.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yes, and like legalities and that sort of stuff, and ownership of intellectual property. So yeah.
Yeah. Franchising is a very big decision to make. We did launch a franchising program and we did sell one. We did put a pause on selling more for now. We want to continue to grow our own. Maybe when we get to that nice number of 50 or 100, we'd be open again to selling. Why? Because I'll be real, the Nigerian market with franchising is tough. I'm always going to champion it and I hope to be, a pioneer in this space in it, but it's tough because Nigerians, it's tough on the side of the franchisee, the person purchasing. They often don't fully understand what it means to be a franchisee. They feel like the moment they've purchased and paid for your brand name, they own that business. So if You were just doing spa services. They say tomorrow, no, we brought a lash artist and a microblading person, and we set up a room for that. And you're like, that's not part of my business model. So my nuggets are: number one, don't ever franchise until you standardize every aspect of your business. So I think we have an over 1,000 pages of content for our franchise program, including the franchise agreement. Moving from that, franchise operating manual, which is like the heavy one. It has an SOP for every role of the company. Then moved into the training manuals for every division. Oriki is actually very positioned to be a franchise because we also manufacture the product. So as we're selling the franchise, you have to buy all your product from us, which is powerful. But at the same time, Nigerians still have a way to go for knowledge. So if you have a business that you feel as though you've created all the systems for its standard, there's not much they can do negatively to affect you, right? Then I would say go for it, right? Then the last thing is, not everyone who says, I want to have a piece of your business should be accepted. It's very easy to get attracted to, like, oh wow, I've launched this franchise and now 10 people want it. All 10 are not the right fit. You need to have strict requirements around it. It can't be just because they can afford it. It has to be more. Is the person buying the franchise going to be present? Are they keen on having a solid team? Do they get what you're offering them? Because one of the things about this part of the world is that after 1 year, they're like, do I really need you anymore? I've opened my business. I've gotten everything. Do I really need it? But you're signing like a 5-year or a 10-year, and you want to ensure that these people have the right fit because things will still happen. So do your due diligence up front on the person trying to buy the franchise and make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And lastly, legal. Please, legal. You can't do this without a very strong legal rep or legal team looking over all your documents and ensuring they're perfect, right, for you to actually extend the franchise.
All right. So my name is Oluchi. I have I have a med spa, one in Magodo, one in VI, and we started in Magodo, and then we got an opportunity to have like a partnership with a short-let apartment because they needed like a spa. But I mean, I have a med spa, so I just set it up there already. My question is this: I already have a HR background, so I set up structures, I set up systems, I have my finance people and all of that. But the one thing I struggle with is scaling up. I feel like I keep circling around the same mountain, like the same figures. No matter what I do, I try to add more services, and sometimes it goes up, sometimes it's still the same. What can I do to make more revenue? What can we do to, scale up and get bigger? I mean, you are very inspiring. I would want to have more places like it. So what tips can you give to me?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Oluchi. Well done with 2 locations. My question for you is, what's your focus on marketing right now?
Okay, so I do a lot of social media ads, but apart from that, we have a lot of referrals.
Yeah.
And we also have HMOs that we partner with, even though they owe a lot and all. But I mean, those are the 3 main places I focus my energy on. Yeah, so we have referrals, we have social media, and then the HMOs as well. But I would love more tips.
Okay, what about the easiest way to make more money is through your current client base? Are they coming frequently? Right now, could you tell me like your repeat purchase percentage, how often they're coming? Have you looked into that?
Yes, so we have a lot of customers in terms of we've been able to retain most of our customers, especially for our location in Magodo, maybe because it started earlier than the one in VI. VI is now picking up in terms of retainership and all of that. But the one thing I've noticed recently is that the pricing is a bit of a concern for some clients in terms of, you were charging maybe 20,000 3 months ago and all of that, but then based on the situation of things, you had to increase it by 20% or so, and some people are not able to keep up. So some people are not able to keep up, some can still keep up with that. So that's one place I would say I've really struggled with. How do you keep them coming? But then I have a lot of referrals from clients and all.
I don't think pricing is your issue, right? Because 20% is 24K from 20,000 naira. If pricing is your issue, they're not your customer, right? Because your customer will be okay with the price, and that's not a very big swing. I think you say you run ads already and whatnot. So when you want to increase revenue and sales, right? It's really just how many people are seeing you and are associated with your brand, how many people know you. And I spoke about your direct customer base because that's where you can actually make a targeted effort to get them in. If you know, for example, that they typically should be coming in once a quarter, there should be an entire campaign around people who came in January, receiving emails in March or receiving text messages, letting them know that, hey, you're due for your appointment. When can we book you in for it? And you will see that there will be a conversion there just by being top of the mind to them, reaching out and checking in with them. Secondly, how effective is your awareness, your ads, your exposure? How many people know your brand, right, and know what you're doing? That's another area as well that you need to focus on. So besides sponsored ads focused on conversion and sales, sponsored ads focus on awareness, knowing you exist, that have content pillars like before and after, testimonials, things like that. Very, very important as well. It's marketing that really drives an increase in revenue. It's really marketing, and the marketing can be through a partnership and collaboration. The marketing can be through a sponsored ad. The marketing can be through newsletters, a billboard. There's many different types, but it's really about getting more people to know you exist.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And if to add to what Joycee said about reaching out to clients, I know personally as a consumer of beauty, there's some things that I'm top on or top of. There's some things that I might forget, but like when I get that SMS or when I get that text, like, hey, we miss you. I'm like, oh yeah, I should actually go back there and see what's going on there. And also, quick Splice plug, we can automate that for you.
See? Automation.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon, Joycee and Layo. My name is Olabisi. I am the founder of Sugar Rush Aesthetics and Wellness. We currently have one location in Lekki Phase 1, and we've been running for 4.5 years. My question, honestly, is, first of all, I have a 3-part question, so I have to write it down. But the first one is, what has been your most, it's similar to what Oluchi was asking you, but I wanted to ask, what has been your most financially impactful marketing strategy so far? So I'm asking because I was very, very big on what you said, like customers, your referrals and everything. But at the beginning of this year, I think I realized that we are peaked, so to speak, with that because our retention rate, according to, I currently, just with the data that we currently have, it fluctuates between like 35 to 60%, so to speak, over like the last 18 months. And for me, I feel like that is good. The fact, like I always say that if someone comes to Sugar Rush, the chances that they will come back is, high, exactly. So, but I feel like with that, it's like, okay, everybody here has been to Sugar Rush. They brought their cousins, their friends. It's like we've kind of like picked on that, right? And with other marketing efforts, we've tried UGCs, we've tried content marketing. Social media ads, I tried to delegate it at some point last year. But me, I'm very data driven. But the guy that I'd employed just came and was like, oh, so you need to put money in there. I was like, the one that we did last month, Alpha, explained to me. And I was like, no, this thing takes 3 months. I'm patient. I'm not a mad person. But, talk to me like I'm fire, like run me through. But there was that. And, I just didn't progress with that guy. And now I'm like, okay, I think I need to learn this thing for myself, which is what I'm currently doing. But I just want to know as well, as someone who's been there, obviously, like you've been there like way longer and stuff. And at this time, post-COVID, all of this, what has been, or what is your current, maybe top 3 most financially impactful, marketing strategy? Question
I
one.
love that. I love that question. Number 1, finding a way to make money while we sleep, even though we were a service brand, was huge. We launched gift vouchers, and I can tell you, if my spas can bring in 3 million naira today, the gift vouchers can bring in 4 million. We're sleeping, and people are using us for gifts. That was one entire revenue stream. So diversifying how I earn money was very, very key. Gift vouchers became huge because they're also powerful in the sense that when you gift someone else, they now can become an ambassador. So if I received a gift voucher to come to this, have a facial, have a massage, what happens is I now come or I don't come, which on our balance sheet is a liability. We have people who have not come, right? So that's on our balance sheet, but it's the money's in our bank, right? But then they now received a gift and now think of giving this gift as well the next time they need to give a corporate gift. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
Number one, financial. Number two was investing in a very strong data analyst for social media. See, a very bad agency is going to tell you to just put in more money. This month you put in 500K, you need to put in 750K. No. If they're not showing you cost per leads, cost per messages, if they're not showing you your reach, if they're not showing you that the audiences and segmentation, they're not for you, right? And right now, there are many outsourced people. You can do this outsourced, and this is what they do all day, every day. Have a dedicated account manager that if at 10 p.m. you wake up and you say, I need to understand something, when they wake up in the morning, they're responding to you. You can do that and not bring that person in. I am such a believer in knowledge, so I love that you're learning it, but please don't get saddled in being the one doing it, right? Even if you started off so you can know, I did that. I did. November 2021, I took an ads course, started doing it, worked on an audience. I hit like a gold mine with a specific audience. And then even when we brought on our outsourced agency, I don't hide. I use Loopify, so you guys can look into them. When we brought on our outsourced agency, I knew all my onions. Like, you can't tell me you can't do this. You can't. My CPM should be this. I know what I'm comfortable with and all that. So that's number two. Third is launching a loyalty program. Even though we're making changes to it now, because launching a loyalty program there's places that I go to, like where my kids cut their hair. I go there because like on their 10th visit, they get free haircut. And the haircut is like $6,500. It's like not, you know what I mean? But it's just like, it's so cool. I get to come and we get like a stamp. And by the time they get their 10th, But for you, your loyalty could be so many different ways. It could be points based. It could be bring someone. It could bring that. Can I give you one more? Fourth one. I don't believe you guys should take your businesses to being everything discount. But promotions and bundling is so powerful. When you bundle services, like it does something to the consumer, right? So you get this, and this for this. Or Tuesdays. We have our Tuesdays, Tuesday, TWOSDAY, Tuesdays, where bring in a second person and your bill is 20% off, right? And it's just like people are booking for that Tuesday. You guys have talked about this. People have talked about this. People are booking for the next Tuesday just to come in with my partner and, bring people, get a discount.
Right.
So yeah, those are my top three.
Thank you very much.
You're
Top
welcome.
4. Thank you very much for the bonus.
Top four, yes.
Okay, yes. So the second question sorry?
She has.
You
better love.
Okay, ma. All right, no problem. So what I would just ask you then, so I'll skip the second one. I'll probably ask you later on. So the question I would ask you, which I think a lot of people can benefit from, is as a founder, what has been like your most, downtime or down as a person, not as Oriki, but like as you leading Oriki, and you have you're doing a lot of things, right? So just what has been like that, like, for lack of a better English, downest time? Because I think I went through mine recently where I had a new team. Everybody who's working with me right now is fresh from scratch since January this year. So it was really new year, new me, new business, And because I had a lady who was working with me since, in fact, before I started my business, and somehow she just left. And I don't like how she left, because we were already family. Just to say how sometimes, So yeah, I'm just asking what has been your own
Mine also has to do with team. That's such a good question. I feel like we're people, so we're affected by other people. Yeah, but for me, one of the things that has hurt me the most or has been a downtime was when my true heart and intentions isn't really seen and reflected amongst the team. And it's very painful, or, when we hire someone and then we find out that, the way they're working is very opposite of who I am, just imagine, okay, so I did something. Some time ago, I decided that I'm always dealing with my senior management team. Let me have a roundtable with my middle management team. So people who don't report directly to me, but then they're on the ground working in ops. And guys, I mean, I started off as a smaller business. So anyone in here saying that, oh, I don't have the segmentation, you will get there. You know, it's step by step. I didn't start this, and I bootstrapped this company. So it's not like, you know, so I'm telling you where I am now, but I know that we'll get there, right? But just, I call them in, and then imagine this is open table. You guys can talk. It's free. Nothing is being recorded. Nothing is going to go back to your bosses. And then hearing something like, oh, whenever my boss calls me, I start shaking. Like I almost want to start crying. And I'm like, what's going on here? I've never, not even trying to Pam, I've never in the 10 years, it will be 10 in October, never screamed at an employee. I've never called anyone out their name. I will much rather walk away from you. And that's me. That's Joycee. That's who I am. And to see that I hired someone who basically is pretending, and now I have team members who feel like that's the order of the day because they don't report to me. So they're not hearing from me besides me coming in for a quarterly meeting and saying hi and greeting everyone. They don't know. And this person said she started having anxiety and like her mental health, like, and I literally, that meeting was very, very painful for me because it showed me that there was a gap. For whatever reason, she didn't feel like she could speak up, and to even her HR. I don't know how, you know, why this even persisted or how, but honestly, the truth is, anytime you hear something like this, you're the person to blame. Every one of us in this room, we're the person to blame. So there's a gap, and something had to be done about it. You can't say, oh, that wasn't me, my HR. Anything that you are, that is the responsibility you get as a founder or as a CEO of the company you started. So I had to solve that, and I had to solve it very quickly.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the last question for this segment. Please, really quickly.
Hi, Joycee. Thank you so much. Thank you, Layo, for today. I wrote my question down so that I can be very direct. So in expansion, how do you balance reinvesting your profits into expansion versus maintaining a healthy cash flow in your existing business? Your cash flow is profitable and healthy. Do you rely on bank loans, or do you seek an investor, or how do you balance it?
Right. So great, fantastic question. So number one, I broke up the company inflow into 5 accounts. And so every single week, we're moving money into different accounts. And we completely bootstrapped the company. I didn't have a single investor to go from one through whatnot. Everybody has different stories here. You can raise. We're now at the point where we're interested in bringing on institutional people. But what we did was, number one, for you to be able to expand using your own cash flow, all costs have to be covered at base, right? So you're only taking from the profit. And profit is, I'm not talking gross profit, which is the profit from when you count the cost to run your business. I'm talking net profit. So that's even after you've taken into account. So you take your money, and let's say, for example, you know that your HR, your payroll expense is a certain amount, right? And payroll is non-negotiable. You need to pay your staff. You would take a percentage of the revenue coming in weekly and throw it into the payroll account, right? So you transfer it there. It's not touched until the end of the month. You would have another account for savings. So for us, our savings in the beginning is what we used to open other branches. But today, we actually take a percentage to put towards expansion. So we percent. To do this very well, you have to, first of all, determine how much it costs to run your business on a month, every expenditure. And if, let's say, it costs 1 million naira, I'm just giving an example that's easy, and you've earned 5 million naira, that means there's a 4 million naira profit. And out of that 4 million naira, you can decide what percentage of that is going to go into the expansion account, what percentage you want to do into savings. As many as possible, ladies, especially in these economic times, if you can pull out savings now, there is that period of time where you're not profitable yet, you're still trying to make it. Try and save in investments that will yield. We need to be doing that in this time. We don't know the future. You can use different things, bamboo, different companies you can use, and just take a portion of the revenue, the profit, and put it inside a yield, a high yield or a yielding facility. And then we have a running cost account for all the things that we need to spend money on through the month. maintenance, and all these different things. That was also something that we segmented into. So at base, then to answer your second question, at base, just know all your costs and then see what's left. And of course, by month, you're increasing revenue, right? That's the goal, month on month increase. So you'll have more money to utilize. But investment versus loans. Okay. This is a very personal decision that you have to make as a founder, right? For some people, it depends on how you see your company in the future. An investor is going to invest because of your future goals, meaning, do you want to exit? Are you looking to build a business so big that you're going to sell this company and everyone is going to get 10 times, 20 times, 100 times more than what they put into? Are you somebody who's trying to build a legacy company? This company, you want this to go to your children and your grandchildren and whatnot. You probably you can't get a venture capitalist. That's not what they're looking for at this time, right? If your company earns enough to pay interest, debt is your focus. Debt is your baby. And that's what we are looking at now. That's what we are focused on now. Debt. Then there's other kinds of equity investors in the future. If you're looking to have a private equity, they're more patient. Private equity, they're more patient with their capital. But of course, they're looking for big volumes. You have to be a very solid company, have everything in order in your books. And if it's like an angel, like just someone that that is like, okay, I want to put some money into business, maybe they're looking for dividends, right? They're going to earn their money back quarterly. You're going to pay out. You're going to give them a payout and whatnot. Then that's fine. But for you to know if you're ready for debt, you also need to figure out debts right now. The cheapest debt you can get is maybe 26% per annum. Cheapest. Right now, many of them are giving 3-4% per month. That's 36 to 48% per year. So you need to be able to look at your numbers and see, do I have enough profit? If your profit is anything above that and you have a good margin there, you can go for debt, right? And start small. If you guys don't know the company She Included, she loves female entrepreneurs. She can literally stamp check yes on a loan, 10 million, 5 million within a day or two. So these are things, obviously going to look at your business, but the point is that someone like her company is very passionate about female entrepreneurs and can give you that, and you can pay it back, monthly. So it all depends on, again, your numbers. Know your numbers. Yeah.
Thank you so much.